Welcome back to Comic History, episode 27, part 2. I know I was going to do this last night, but I got home late, so I didn't have time to do this when I got home. Plus, it was after 10 o'clock, and I just wanted to, because choir practice, I had choir practice, that's the reason why I had to stop the video at like 17 minutes. So I had to stop and go do that. But choir practice went longer than usual, so I didn't, and of course we went shopping, and I just didn't have time to actually do this last night. I'm doing this now. Okay. Now, with issue 50, they introduced a new team. Now, basically, the one-shots were... Okay, here's the one-shots. Nightwing and Captain Boomerang. Um, let's see. We have Katana, Metamorpho, Grace, Aquaman. Yeah. These, like, 5 little one-shots. Mike Burr writes one of them. I think he writes the Katana one-shot. Yeah, I believe he does. Um, and of course, Tony Vidar get a chance to write some of these one-shots as well. I think Chuck Dixon is one who starts off this. Um, yeah, I think he's the initial writer, basically, with the relaunch. Now, basically, issue 50, they have Catwoman join the team. Okay. Of course, they have Martian Manhunter join in the one-shots. The lineup they have fully introduced in issue 50 of Outsiders. This doesn't last too long. Basically, 2 issues in, Catwoman, Martian Manhunter leave, and they're replaced with 3 people: Green Arrow, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, and the returning Geo-Force. Yep. Great, interesting time, basically, for these particular set of issues. The 15-issue run was actually really, really good. And I spoke to Chuck Dixon about this. He really enjoyed doing this. I didn't exactly ask why he left. I didn't get a chance to ask him that, but he said he really enjoyed this particular set of issues that he did for the series. So, yeah, at least got praise for him, but he's proud of it. I really enjoyed the issues. I enjoyed all the issues of Outsiders. No bad issue here. Aside from basically having a few people join the group after the series started. With this particular run, let's see, we had, well, besides the people I mentioned joining, we also had Francine Langstrom, the wife of Man-Bat, and Doc and Remac, who got killed off just prior to the end of Chuck Dixon's run. Then for some reason he left, and the book decided to go sort of a semi-relaunch, basically. Could still continue the same number, just they dropped the name Batman and basically with the special. Oh, I forgot. I gotta mention this. There is this scene. There's this one of the early issues after Cassandra Cain joins the group. Basically, a couple of the girls basically are just sitting talking in the kitchen, and then here comes Cassandra Cain, walking the kitchen butt naked for no reason. And they're asking like, "Are we out of towels? Nope. Are you cold? Nope." She just walks away. Yeah, I have no idea why that the artist thought this was a good idea for Cassandra Cain to walk around the Outsiders headquarters butt naked for no reason. And I keep thinking though, I'm kind of glad Batman himself didn't see this, because even he would never pry into seeing a teenage girl basically in the nude. Especially since this girl is supposed to be his adopted daughter. Yep. Yeah, this is actually the only one he's actually adopted. The only girl he actually adopted, because he adopted 3 guys. Basically, Bruce Wayne's got 5 kids. 4 of whom were adopted. One of whom's, and he has 1 actual blood-related child. Yeah, he adopted Dick Grayson, Tim Drake. He adopted Cassandra Cain. He didn't actually fully adopt Jason Todd because he didn't get a chance to, because he died. Yeah, so interesting set of issues. This is a really weird cover where you have Cassandra Cain and Green Arrow basically giving each other flowers. I thought this was odd, especially since Green Arrow was supposed to be at this point dating Black Canary, and of course Cassandra Cain is basically like 20 years younger than he is. So I don't know what was going on with this particular cover. Yeah. So basically, after 15 issues, well, actually, it was 14 issues, I believe it was. I believe it was like 14 issues. Yeah, after 14 issues, Chuck Dixon left, and then of course starting with the special, and then of course for the next 10 issues we have Peter D. Tomasi take over. Basically, the events of Battle for the Cow, Final Crisis and Battle for the Cow happen. So basically, the Outsiders are basically so. For the next 10 issues, they had the Batman Reborn. Actually, the logo itself is actually on 2 of the issues, issue 1920, but it's on 2 trades. It's on the 2 Outsider trades. The 2 trades that collect Peter J. Tomasi's run for the book. He did it for 10 issues. Now, the lineup itself was actually quite ingenious. It's the original lineup. Geo-Force, Black Lightning, Metamorpho, Looker, Halo, along with 2 new characters. They added the Sega Dicko character, the Creeper, and a brand new character known as the Owlman. No, this is not the Earth 3 version of him. This is actually the regular in-universe one. This is New Earth version of Owlman. This is Roy Raymond Jr., the son of a talk show host. Seriously, that's basically what he is. He's the son of a talk show host. And for the first arc, first 5 issues that Tomasi did, actually first 6 issues, they were headquartered out the Batcave. And they also had their own vehicle, which basically went up to orbit, kind of like a space station in a way. They operated out of there. And it had to sort of operate like undercover in a way, and it had to dedicate their time to being outside of being full-time basis, basically have no contact with the outside world. So basically Black Lightning had to say goodbye to his family. Of course, Thunder at this point, basically during this period of time, she had been knocked into a coma, and even though she and Grace weren't legally married, they were kind of still a couple. Basically, Grace basically kind of refers to him as basically dad, even though that they're not married yet. But as far as I can tell, it's never explicitly written. Oh, I forgot to mention this during Wittig's run. Wittig basically, before he did the crossover with Checkmate, he decided to wrap up a loose end from his Green Arrow run about the death of Black Lightning's niece, who also the same woman who Green Arrow decided to have a one-night stand with. Not kidding. Though for some reason, I have no idea why Wittig did this for. He later stated that she was actually one of his daughters, even though she was his niece. It's quite odd. And they did eventually clear his name, and it turns out it was all employed by, and Deathstroke basically allowed him to get the evidence to clear his name over basically who killed his niece. So yeah, I forgot to mention. And the crossover between Checkmate and Outsiders was called Checked Out, and an early part of that crossover, they had the entire team captured by Checkmate, except for Nightwing. Because he's a Batman character. Don't want to be captured. Maybe it was DC editorial telling Joe Wittig what to do when it comes to this particular storyline. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Anyways, moving on. And then with the second storyline, basically, the second arc, which took up the next 5 issues, they have 3 issues where they have a few issues basically dealing with still trying to capture other people who escaped from Blackgate. Basically dealing with people who escaped, captured like Mr. Freeze. There was a few people they captured. It was Mr. Freeze. I'm trying to think who else they got. It was a few people. It's like Mr. Freeze and the current people. They had captured them and ready to hand the police, and then basically they heard bang on the wall, and then the wall gets busted up, and who comes in? Why? The resurrected Terra! The same person who got killed off during the Judas contract, brought back because of Blackest Night. So they have 2 issues basically dealing with Blackest Night. Yeah. Luckily enough, unlike some other series who had the series interrupted for this story, luckily enough that Tomasi basically was like to squeeze this little 2-parter in and sort of just still the same story, and it's a great tie-in. Though this is like right after her appearance in the Blackest Night Titan series, so she comes in. And of course, they also decided to throw in Katana's late family, her late husband and her late kids. Yeah, her family was actually killed, and she was the only survivor. So, yeah, so they fight them, and then of course in Tomasi's last issue, issue 25, because apparently he's still dealing with whole stuff with Deathstroke, he decided to do something quite dumb. Now, this was during the same time New Krypton storyline was going on. So basically, he had Markovia sign another aggression pact with New Krypton, and the fact it's a haven for New Krypton, citizens of Krypton, and Eradicator's added to the team. Yes, Eradicator's brought back, though it's a slightly different look to him, and he's basically brought in as the New Krypton representative. Yeah, this doesn't last too long. Basically, and of course, with next issue, we have Dan and Dio take over for the next 15 issues. This doesn't last too long, and of course, the team splits, with half the team go back to the U.S., and the other half just stay in Markovia. If half the team leaves, it's just Black Lightning, Metamorpho, and Owlman. They just have to go back, and just by sheer coincidence, the issue they go back to U.S., and there's a whole bunch of shooting going on, and this is basically during the same time the War of the Superman storyline is going on. Yep, just by sheer coincidence. So they're like, okay, where are we gonna go? And the Metamorpho was like, I know where we can go. And where do they go? They go to stay with his ex-father-in-law, Simon Stack, because, well, at some point, Metamorpho and Starstack decided to divorce. They do have a kid together, so they have to see each other on occasion. So they decide to stay there. New character Freight Train gets introduced. He gets briefly added to the team. And basically, from after this point, issue 31, for the next several issues, it's like a back and forth thing between these two. These two teams. And eventually, for a couple issues, for some reason, I have no idea why, Keith Giffen decided to step in as a co-writer. Even though this guy has nothing to do with the Outsiders, he's never had. The only thing loosely related that Batman has done is they wrote about issues of Justice League, but he's never any of the Bat titles. Don't know why. So they have an Outsiders War, have the two teams fight each other, and then the last issue of the series, basically, which is the cover is basically Batman and Outsiders Volume 2, Issue 40, and the cover is a homage to Batman and Outsiders number 1. Basically, he decided to merge two teams, basically end of the war about disbanding the Outsiders, and basically making part of Batman Inc. Yep, disbands both teams. So, Geo-Force leaves, and this, of course, last time people say Geo-Force. They get transferred to Batman Inc. when they come to the Black Ops division, led by Red Robin. They go on a mission, and then there was an explosion, and apparently Metamorpho was killed. And that was the last we see of that. Then, of course, they had a version of the Outsiders show, basically tribe of people, basically with Katana's part of them, and they relay around various different items. This is stuff related to Jeff Lemire's run of Green Arrow. Very awesome run. I highly recommend it. It's actually it's in 3 trades, so it shouldn't be too hard to track this down, but it's a great storyline. Then they officially brought the characters back in during the in the opening in Dark Knight's Metal, the Forge, when they revealed the Outsiders around. But for some reason, it's the original layout minus Metamorpho for some reason. I have no idea why this is. But what about the founding members of the Outsiders in the current continuity? Well, let's start with Black Lightning, the first recruit. Well, he made a few appearances. He showed up in a few issues of DC Universe Presents, where he teamed up with Black Lightning for a few issues. Showed up in a few issues of Justice League, well, basically showed up in Trinity of Draw of Atlantis. Showed up for like one issue after that, and he was never seen again. Looker was basically seen as part of the series of one-shots for National Comics, making her single appearance, and she was never seen again. Well, up until that one shot. Let's see. Katana was seen a bunch. First in the pages of Birds of Prey for about 15 issues. Then she went over Just Like America, where that didn't last too long. Of course, she also popped up in Green Arrow as a recurring character for both Lemire and Kensberg's run. Don't know why. She even popped up in the Futures, a version of her Futures End, where she was basically became Green Arrow's lover. For no reason. Yep. After that, she had her own split book with Deadshot, which during that period of time they introduced Halo and Geo-Force, so Geo-Force now has powers for some reason. And then they decided to add her to the Suicide Squad, because she's part of the Suicide Squad in the film. Don't know why. And that's what she is currently. Oh yeah, she also did have another series, so the last 10 issues, Anna Cindy Roden. been told that this series was bad. I read it. It's not as bad as people say it was. Actually, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, for some reason they made the Creeper a villain for some reason, and or it's implied that she was the one who killed her husband, and there's no mention for kids. I don't know why. Oh, I forgot to mention for Black Lightning in the current continuity. They de-aged him like 20 years, made him just in college, and he has no kids. Nope, his daughters don't exist. No idea why, they just don't. Let's see, what else? Well, Katana joins Suicide Squad, she still does this very day. Metamorpho, last one, he didn't show up until Legends of Tomorrow. That second issue miniseries, where he was, well, they finally brought the character in. The series itself was sort of loose promotion for for the TV show Legends of Tomorrow. Trying to think who wrote his well, the Katana storyline for Suits and Wanted, that was written by Mike W. Burr. I don't know who wrote the Looker one shot. I don't think it was Burr. Let me check this. Let's see. The Legends of Tomorrow. Okay, the Metamorpho one shot was written by Aaron Lepsey, and well, the artwork by Matt Benning. It was a great storyline. Let's see. Who wrote the National Comics one? It doesn't say who wrote it, but yeah, she was part of that series of one-shots. And that was really it. She's still a vampire in the current continuity. Yep. Yeah, but that's really it. Trades-wise, for the Outsiders. The first volume has been collected a few times. Basically, there was Showcase Presents Batman The Outsiders Volume 1, which collects the first 19 issues, the first annual, the New Teen Titans 37, and Brave and Bold 200. There is Batman The Outsiders Volume 1, which collects the first 12 issues, New Teen Titans 37, and the backup story from Brave and Bold 200. And for some reason, this trade costs $50. No idea why. And of course, there's one other trade that collects issues from this volume. Excuse me, and that's New Teen Titans Volume 6, which does collect the issue of Outsiders. One issue of Batman the Outsiders, which was co-written by Mark Wolfman. And the reason why this crossover happened because, well, Geo-Force was revealed to be Terra's half-brother. Yeah, that was the only reason why. Volumes 1 and 2 for the Outsiders. As far as I know, these two volumes never saw the light of trade. As for Volume 3, all but 2 issues are put into trade. Yeah, for some reason, because Peter J. Tomasi wrote 2 issues of Outsiders Volume 3, DC decided to skip over these issues for no reason. Yeah, pretty much he wrote issues 27 and 28. No idea why DC skipped over, but they did. But pretty much the entirety of Volume 3 is mostly in trade. As for the last series, well, in the case of when it was known as Batman the Outsiders, the first 10 issues are in trade, the last 4 are not. When it was known as simply The Outsiders Volume 4, all but the last 3 issues are put into trade. I don't know why. I would think, though, Day-to-Day would basically release a new printing of these particular, the trades that collect these particular issues, especially since he wrote the last 15 issues. No idea why, he just didn't, but yeah, he did it. But yeah, Outsiders, basically, and outside of comics, let's say, they're featured in a few episodes of Brave and the Bold, They were featured in like one episode of. They were featured in the final episode of Beware the Batman, where the team kind of came together. Where this version team consists of Batman, Katana, Oracle, Metamorpho, Man-Bat. Interesting lab, and they just team up just to fight Deathstroke. Yep. Katana herself is featured live action twice. First as a recurring character for season 3 of the show, mostly shown in flashbacks and a few times in the present. She was also for one episode of the season 4, and that's it. She's also featured in the film. Suicide Squad film. I'm very happy the fact they cast an Asian actress to play her because she's an Asian character. It would be kind of stupid if they casted a white actress to play an Asian character. Yeah, that would be kind of stupid if they did that. In the case of like Killer Croc, doesn't matter if he's white or black. It doesn't matter because he has the makeup. If characters have the makeup, it doesn't really matter if they're white or black. It just doesn't matter for them. But yeah, that's really it. As far as I can tell, none of the other outside members featured in live action. Well, Batman has, obviously, but as for the people associated with the characters, like the fun members, just Katana's the only one who actually featured live action. And Katana's the only one who's actually so active in DC Universe while being part of the Suicide Squad. For no reason, aside from the fact she's in the film. But yeah, so that's really it for this particular part. Stay tuned for episode 28 where I'm talking about Checkmate. I'll probably do it probably tomorrow, maybe. Expect a couple more videos today with One Piece, where I talk about the 4 main specials for the One Piece series and the recent episode that aired this past Sunday. Okay? Those are two separate videos, right? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.